Hi, this is the Blues Emergency Broadcast System letting you know that Robert Thomas is back. Let's get into it.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And happy November 19th, and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues. Robert Thomas is back. Yes. He is back. He will be on the ice tonight against the Wild. We have some NHL drama that went down today. Boom, 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 which could impact us. I mean, some of it does involve us. It's, drama. And then obviously the game against the Wild. So I'm going to talk about all of that today. I'm just so happy that my boy Robert Thomas is back. I have a lot of thoughts on it. I think you do too. I think we all do have a little bit of thoughts on that one. But today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Still searching for a great candidate for your company? Don't search, just match with Indeed. Hello, my friends. Robert Thomas season. It begins again. It has been 12 games since we've last seen Robert Thomas on the ice. And I knew things were kind of treading in the right direction when Thomas was at practice and he traveled with the team so he could do like morning skates. And I was like, oh, this is heading on the right direction. But I did not think that Robert Thomas would be back tonight. This is such good news. This is breaking news. The 25-year-old will be back in action tonight. Obviously, the last time we saw him was against those Winnipeg Jets when the Jets defenseman ended up shooting a shot, which Thomas blocked, but then it fractured his ankle and not good. So anywho, we have some quotes from Robert Thomas today. He said, obviously frustrating being out, but I invested a lot in myself, and I'm pretty happy with the result I'm getting back so soon. Excited to be back in the lineup and looking forward to get in the trenches with the guys. This is such a positive situation. I don't think you understand. This team struggles without Robert Thomas. And I didn't think it was possible for one player to have an impact on the team that Robert Thomas does. But his impact is inevitable. I'm not saying that with Thomas back, the Blues look like a playoff team. I don't know. There's also a part of me that feels like it's a little bit rushed back, a little too soon. He still had a couple weeks left of recovery from the initial 6 weeks. However, at the end of the day, your body heals in its own way. So I'm not a doctor, but I'm just assuming that they wouldn't be putting Robert Thomas on the ice if he wasn't fully ready or fully recovered. But again, there is times when we do see athletes just in general that don't always recover fully, but get back in the action. So I give him a lot of credit though, because at the end of the day, Thomas had to work extremely hard to be able to get back in the situation, which is playing Blues hockey again. And again, it goes to his work ethic. And I'm going to go talk about this for a second because it's so underrated. Robert Thomas is one of the hardest working players I have watched in the NHL in recent years. And I watch only really Blues hockey and a couple other teams, so I don't really watch like everything. But I do watch Robert Thomas, and he is the type of player that will give it his all. Even during training camps, he works hard. I don't think I've ever seen laziness come from Robert Thomas, which is one of those things where sometimes you do see players get a little bit lazy and lackadaisical at times, but it's given if they're a veteran at camp, or it's a game that they're up by a lot. Sometimes you don't see the intensity. But with Robert Thomas, you never see that fade. And I think that just goes to the type of player that he is. But again, I am nervous just due to the speediness of him coming back. I think it's a good thing, and it's also something that just worries me. I'm happy he's back. I'm glad he's back. I'm ready for the Blues to be better, but at the same time, I also have my concerns. What if it's too soon? What if he re-injures himself? And that is the biggest question. What if Robert Thomas re-injures himself? Well, here's the thing. And I was thinking about this actually. I went on WebMDX or whatever it's called when you look up at doctors, like when you like self-diagnose and you're like freaking out, so you're Googling on the internet. And it said that sometimes with a fractured ankle, it could take up to a couple years to recover. And I was like, oh, okay. So he's basically between 6 weeks, not 2 years. That might be too early. Now I'm like, okay. But at the same time, I have to remember that maybe treatment that you and I would get isn't the same type of treatment that these players would get, if that makes sense. These are professional athletes and they're around some of the best trainers, some of the best medical staff. And I do believe that that is a huge advantage. So at the end of the day, I have to take that as some kind of comfort. I can't live in this fear of what if Robert Thomas gets injured, but it is something that a lot of people have thought about. And again, it makes me nervous. But there is also some quotes from Coach Bannister about Robert Thomas's return. And he said, since we went on the road, I think we've been day by day at this point. We saw a lot of good progress with him on the ice and how he was feeling. Yesterday, he came in and he had a great skate, talked to the doctors and feels comfortable, and the doctors were comfortable with it, and he is ready to go. He's put in a lot of work to get to this point. It doesn't look like he's missed a beat. He's in great shape. Obviously, you want to wait a week, 10 days, 2 weeks to do something. 2 weeks to do some work in Toronto with his doctors there. And I think that really sped up the process. When I think we initially talked about it, it was 4 to 6 weeks. I think that says a lot about the player and the work that he's put in, the willingness to get back out, and he wants to be back in the lineup for us. And Thomas also said it was a day-by-day approach. I started to feel better the last couple of days of skating. It got to the point where I was comfortable and everyone else was comfortable that I was ready to go. Pretty much last week or so, I wasn't planning on the road trip, but I just wanted to be around the guys and take it day by day. That's pretty much it. Jake Neighbors also commented, it's huge. Brings so much to your lineup. A top 15 center, I believe, in the league that can play against anybody. Good on faceoffs, obviously creates a lot of offense for us. I think it's going to bring some good energy to everybody else. He's really excited. Obviously, it does big things having him back. You add your top 5 center back in your lineup, it creates so much depth. It puts everybody in a better position to succeed. Having a guy that can go out there and eat big matchups and play against the best players and do a great job against them and counter it with offense is a really big and important deal. So that's what Neighbors said. Thomas then continued, and by the way, this is from Lou of the Hockey News, putting out all these quotes. Thomas said, just watching the last couple games, I think those two have been playing really well. They've been creating more turnovers. They've been getting lots of chances, just speed, being all over the puck, supporting each other, being confident and making plays. That's a part of our game. When we're at our best, that's something I'm hopefully able to bring tonight. So they were talking about Bushi and Kyrie, by the way. Bannister then went on to say they've had a lot of success together. Obviously, we want to be creating a little bit more offense or creating our opportunities and being able to finish on them. I think that's something that he's going to be comfortable with, and Bushi too gets those guys going. I think it's a good opportunity for them to get going here. So very positive with all the Robert Thomas talk, and I am so excited to see him on the ice tonight. So welcome back to the lineup, Robert Thomas. I cannot believe that he is back. It was only 12 games, and it was supposed to be 20 games, which is so unbelievable to me. I also cannot believe all that is going on in Hockeyland. There is so much happening right now. My phone keeps on blowing up. but I'm going to talk to you about my friends at Indeed, and then I will talk to you about what's going on in the NHL. Because some of it does impact the Blues. If you need a hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work, use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with your candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to recent Indeed survey. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it is leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day. Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hire? You need Indeed. Indeed, you do. I have to say that every time. Like, it's so catchy. Okay. Hi, Hockeyland. I cannot believe all of the drama that is circulating today. As I said, my phone literally keeps blowing up because there seems to be more and more drama day by day, moment by moment. And I don't understand what is going on. So I'm going to kind of read to you a list of the drama. I'm going to then continue to talk about how some of it does impact the Blues and could potentially impact the Blues going on. Okay. So the one thing that isn't put in this list as one of the main headlines, but it impacts us here in St. Louis, Kapanen was put on waivers, as we know, Kasperi Kapanen. So he was on waivers, right? Probably to make room for Robert Thomas. That's just what I'm assuming because that's like the only logical answer. Guess who picked him up? I'm going to give you 1 minute to, well, not even a minute. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to guess. Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you have your guess? If you guessed the Edmonton Oilers, you were correct. That is right. The Edmonton Oilers picked up Kapanen. And I am sorry. I was laughing. I was laughing so hard when I saw this because it is one of those things where it's like, we got Broberg and Holloway and they get Kapanen. And somebody, all the memes, it's like, take that, Blues. And then they put a meme from The Office, and it was like, well, how the tables have turned. It's just the funniest thing ever. Somebody said class smooth stealing our player off waivers. The trade is complete. Season saved. So St. Louis takes 2 of your young good players and you repay them by helping them relieve cap space. Oh my goodness. It is, I'm sorry. Some of these are so great. Some people are happy because there we go, ex Maple Leaf, which obviously people do that a lot. They're just so mean. Oh my goodness. They're kind of going at Bowman now. Like, it's bad. But when I saw that, I'm not gonna lie, I just thought to myself, Edmonton probably hates us, to be honest with you. And somebody said, I guess you got your revenge. Someone said, imagine getting screwed by the Blues and then helping them months later. I have to tell you, I knew I was going to talk about that on today's episode. I did not expect my reaction to bring me to tears because it is just so ironic. Like, out of all teams. So yes, congratulations, Kapanen. Anyways, here's some more NHL drama. Leafs Austin Matthews visit world-renewed German clinic. Injury puts Ovechkin's goal chase on hold. He has like 30 more to catch up to the great one. Canucks, Miller takes an indefinite leave. And then most importantly, you might be like, Haley, what? This one I did not expect today. Montgomery fired from Boston. I did not see that coming. You know, I have a really difficult time when it comes to different coaches that do successful things for you, right? Jim Montgomery was a great coach, right? But it's not surprising due to the season that the Bruins have had. So let me propose to you something kind of interesting. You might hate me when I say this. You probably will. What if Montgomery comes here to St. Louis? Okay, I'm not saying that Banny should be fired. And I hate coming on this podcast like saying, oh yeah, let's go fire our coach. But if things don't get rolling with Robert Thomas back, then there's an issue. I don't know. But I thought that was like a really interesting situation. I think he's the first coach this season to be fired, actually. But it's crazy because like the Bruins had, I believe a couple of seasons ago, like one of the best seasons ever. And Joe Sacco, who is one of their assistants coach, was elevated to be their interim coach. But it is like one of those crazy things. Like he won the Jack Adams Award in the 2022-2023 season. Like he's a really good coach. Like the Bruins won the President Trophy. Like it's insane. Now, I do have to say though, when it comes to ESPN, it's great because the headlines are literally like Jim Montgomery fired and then below it, Robert Thomas returns. And I'm like, yep. Like, isn't it crazy how there's so many things that are intertwined? But at the same time, I'm like looking at this and I'm like, well, this could be a positive for St. Louis because I'm not trying to come at Bannister and I just hate that. But I do feel like maybe a change of coaching would help out the Blues. It is crazy, though, how in the NHL or any sport, really, any professional sports league, you have some of these coaches that are able to do such great things for your team. And it could happen a season ago. It could happen a couple seasons ago. And then it's kind of like the front office forgets what they did. And they don't realize that maybe their cap situation, the trades that they made, are the reasons why the team isn't successful. And instead of taking that ownership and responsibility, they fire the head coach. This happens all the time. And it's one of those things where I literally no. But how would you feel having him as the head coach with the Blues? I mean, he obviously knows this team. I mean, I don't know. Like, personally, I wouldn't be upset about it. I am trying to give Bannister the benefit of the doubt. I really am. And I think I've been really nice with how optimistic I am towards him because I do feel like at the end of the day, he was given this opportunity for a reason. I mean, I watch a lot of T-Birds and I was a fan of him, but I think sometimes when you're in a position where you get elevated to interim head coach, it's kind of like a trial run. And I didn't think he did a bad job. I didn't think he did a great job. It was kind of like in the middle. Do I think Drew Bannister is an NHL head coach in general? Do I think any other team would pick him up if he got fired tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe he'd be an assistant coach, but I don't think he would be a head coach. So you have a guy with a Montgomery that has so much experience and is such a great head coach that why not maybe consider it? I'm not calling for anyone's job. I'm just putting out a point that maybe we shouldn't, as a fan base, be closed-minded when it comes to that. Okay. I'm going to talk to you about my friends over at PrizePicks, okay? You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineup stays in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup alive. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my pick hits, I can get my money in as little as 15 minutes. Also, you can literally deposit your money or withdraw your money through Venmo. I love Venmo. You love Venmo. Venmo is easy. PrizePicks is easy. Okay, so this is what I want to do for this week. Nathan McKinnon for more than half a goal. Evander Kane for more than 1.5 hits. Also, we have Pasta for more than 2.5 shots on goal, and Sidney Crosby for more than half a point. I think this is possible. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell you what to do, is download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. I think with all the news today, people might have forgotten that there's a hockey game tonight against the Blues and the Minnesota Wild. And I am really excited for this game, obviously, for one reason only, and that is the return of Robert Thomas. The game is a 7 p.m. puck drop for us, so we have a little bit of time. We have a little bit of a later game, which I kind of like, honestly. I don't like the early games. I like when it's a little bit later. So luckily for us, that is the case. So anyways, let's go talk about what I expect to see in tonight's game. I expect to see an elevated and good-looking Robert Thomas, okay? That is number one. So I'm going to read you the lines like I always do in pairings, and I am just so excited. You have no idea, Locked On Blues, everydayers, my friends at this point, how excited I am to say this lineup tonight. So forwards on the first line centering, we have the one, the only, Robert Thomas. And then to his left is Bushi, and on the right is Cairo. On the second line, we have #Captain Braden Shen. On the left, we have Sod, and on the right, we have Neighbors. On the third line, centering is Holloway. On the left is Bull Duke, and on the right is Texier. Finally, that fourth line, we have Foxa, Turbachenko on the left, and then Walker on the right. Also, hold on. I don't know if I told you about some moves that the Blues made. Okay, I checked back to my episode. I did not say it. The Blues elevated Corey Schooneman, who was with the T-Birds, and now he is here in the lineup. Okay, so now that we have that. On the first pair, we have Ryan Suter and Colton Parayko, Perunovic, Jay Folk, Schooneman, Kessel, in net, Binner. So that is tonight's lineup. Yes, Philip Broberg is still out, by the way. Don't know when he's going to be returning. And then obviously in the lineup, you might be like, oh, where's the Joseph brothers? Well, he's out, Matthew's out, and Sonny's out. P.O., he did some practicing today, so that was positive. But yeah, that is basically the lineup. I think tonight's game's going to be a tough contest. The Wild, I mean, they played really well when they came to St. Louis last time. Obviously, I'm not going to forget that goalie goal. They're a scary team. Caprill scares me. Like, they're just a scary team. So I'm not going to look at this game maybe as critical as I'm going to look at them when they play against San Jose, because the Wild just happened to be a lot better of a team than I gave them credit for. So I'm excited to watch Robert Thomas tonight, but let me know in the comments below, what do you think about my coaching proposition with Montgomery? Would you be about the Blues having him? Or are you like, Haley, we're fine with Bannister, leave it alone? I don't know. I'm conflicted. Are you conflicted? Let me know. how I end every single episode on the channel. Let's go Blues.